Hikaru is just an ordinary student until one day he comes across something far from normal, a talking mechanical arm named Alma. From that moment on, his life is turned completely upside down. This isn't just any arm, it's part of the mysterious Mecha-U, devices that connect to people and grant them incredible abilities, but no one really knows where they came from or what they truly are. Hikaru is just a regular high school student, burdened by crippling social anxiety and no clue about what to do with his life. One morning, he wakes up early, drags himself out of bed, and heads to the train station, catching the first train to school. But something has been bothering him for a while. The night before, while cycling, he spotted a strange orange light in the sky and heard a voice calling out to him. Since then, he's been trying to figure out what happened, but hasn't found any clues. As he fiddles with his phone, he notices a pregnant woman standing in front of him, along with two elderly ladies giving him judgmental looks, clearly expecting him to give up his seat. Feeling the pressure to do the right thing, Hikaru stands up, ready to offer the seat to the woman. However, he hears a group of guys laughing at the back end, paranoid, thinks they're mocking him for being a goody two-shoes. Soon after, he realizes the laughter wasn't directed at him at all. Relieved that he wasn't the target, Hikaru relaxes a little. But while he was hesitating, the man next to him had already stood up and offered his seat to the woman. Now, Hikaru is left standing alone, embarrassed, and seriously considering getting off at the next stop. Suddenly, a few classmates board the train and spot him. With little choice, he joins them. As his friends start talking about their futures, Hikaru barely pays attention. His mind is still stuck on what happened the previous night. Curious, his friends ask what's on his mind, and Hikaru decides to tell them. He recalls hearing a voice late at night. When he opened the window to see where it was coming from, he noticed the area around the Kami building was strangely illuminated. Intrigued, he grabbed his bike and rode up a hill for a closer look. What he didn't know at the time was that a major battle was taking place at the Kagami building, where a girl with robotic arms was trying to steal an orange cube. She tried to escape via the rooftop, but was surrounded by a private police force that recognized her as a Mecha-U user. They tried to subdue her, but her mechanical arms made her hard to catch. When the police failed, they used specialized weapons to freeze her in place. Then, the head of the operation appeared and released a highly modified mechanical creature. The girl's arms reacted with fury to what the man had done. Without mercy, he grabbed the cube, intending to use it in future experiments. Determined to stop him, the girl managed to break free of the trap with the help of her arms, sinus and dex, and attacked the man. During the fight, the containment tube was damaged, and the cube was launched into the air. It was at that exact moment that Hikaru saw the explosion at the building and recorded everything. However, for some reason, the video didn't capture anything unusual. He also saw the cube falling near the building, but, once again, this didn't appear on the recording. His friends laughed, teasing him that it must have been a crazy dream. But, curious, one of them asks what the voice he heard sounded like. Hikaru, a bit embarrassed, admits that the voice was calling for help. His friends laugh again, suggesting it could have been a ghost, but Hikaru is certain of what he heard. Coincidentally, he hears the same voice again. Despite class starting soon, he runs off to try and follow the sound. Without knowing what he's looking for, he gets closer to the Kagami building but is stopped by a police officer. The officer explains that the company generously donated to the station in exchange for a favor, so no one is allowed to enter. Suddenly, the officer's radio goes off, saying that Mr. Kagami needs all officers in the back area. The officer leaves, momentarily forgetting Hikaru. For a moment, Hikaru considers leaving, as he's always been a law-abiding citizen. But then, the voice echoes again. Ignoring the no trespassing signs, he sneaks into the restricted area. After walking for a while, he spots a glowing cube on the ground and wonders if that's what was calling him. As he approaches, the cube starts speaking, startling him. Still, he reaches out to touch it, and a massive flash of light surrounds him. The cube shoots into the sky and lands on Hikaru's back, causing another flash, drawing even more attention. When he opens his eyes, he discovers a massive metallic arm growing out of his back. Panicked, Hikaru hears someone's voice, but sees no one, which only makes him more frantic. The arm then calls for his attention, trying to calm him down. Seeing a metal arm growing out of his back isn't exactly comforting, but the arm, visibly grateful, starts thanking him for freeing it. It tries to tell him its name but realizes it can't remember. Hikaru is still trying to process the fact that there's an arm coming out of his back, but he soon realizes that it's not actually attached to his body, just to his jacket. Before he can figure out what to do next, a drone appears to survey the area, making Hikaru suspect that the mechanical arm belongs to the Kagami group. Not wanting any trouble, Hikaru begins to remove the jacket to return it, but the drone doesn't hesitate. It activates its circular saws and attacks him. Desperate, Hikaru runs for his life, believing the drone is after him because of the arm. As he stumbles and tries to rid himself of the metallic appendage, he discovers that the drone is, in fact, trying to kill him. The arm then intervenes to protect him. Terrified by the near-death experience, Hikaru doesn't understand why the drone is targeting him and not the arm. The arm warns him, there's no time to stand still, more drones are on the way, and the only chance of survival is if they work together. Meanwhile, at Kagami headquarters, the president receives news that the drones have located the missing trigger arm. However, it's in the hands of some random kid. A superior asks if the boy has any connection to the Organization of Arms, but the investigation confirms that he merely found it by chance. Unconcerned about the boy's fate, the superior orders all available forces to set up a 2-kilometer perimeter to capture the arm at any cost. Back with Hikaru, he and the arm manage to hide from the drones. Relieved to be safe, Hikaru demands an explanation. What is this arm, and why is it being hunted? Unfortunately, the arm doesn't remember anything. Still, it knows that Hikaru is a kind person because he freed it. Normally, the arm wouldn't be able to move without Arbitrium, but with Hikaru, everything flows smoothly. Hikaru, trying to get out of this bizarre situation, decides he's going to abandon the arm along with his jacket since it can move on its own. However, the arm pleads not to be left behind, warning that the world outside isn't safe. In Hikaru's mind, the danger comes from being with the arm, so the best solution would be to get rid of it. But as he walks away, the arm starts to lose energy. Hikaru turns back and sees that it's almost collapsed. After a few tests, he confirms that the arm depends on his proximity to function. For better or worse, they are connected. Eventually, the drones find them again. This time, the arm decides to act on its own, grabbing the ground and dragging Hikaru away. From a nearby tower, Kagami's weapons developer watches the scene, disappointed by the trigger arm's poor performance but determined to recover it. He receives information that he's not the only one after the arm, meaning he'll have to deal with an old rival, Aki. Aki finally arrives at the area, following her informant's directions, which redirect her to the correct path. She decides to take a shortcut through an alley and temporarily disables her robotic arms to squeeze through the wall. As Hikaru, exhausted, struggles to keep running, the arm forces him to continue, draining his last bit of energy. Suddenly, Aki appears, throwing Hikaru to the ground and easily destroying the drones. She then turns to Hikaru and the arm, threatening to kill them if they don't comply. Dex, one of Aki's robotic arms, reminds her that her job is to protect them, not eliminate them. But before they can explain the situation, the weapons developer arrives, still bitter that Aki stole Alma, the trigger arm, from him. He promises to make her pay. With the distraction, Hikaru sees an opportunity to escape. Aki tries to follow him, but her Mecha Udi is too large to fit through the narrow alleys. Hikaru runs again, but he's already starting to regret getting involved in this. The arm, seeing Hikaru struggle, tells him to leave it behind. Those chasing them only want Alma, and if Hikaru abandons it, he should be safe. Even though the arm is right, Hikaru hesitates to leave it behind. He knows Alma can't move without him. When Aki finally defeats the weapons developer and catches up to them, she threatens them once again. Alma offers to cooperate, as long as Hikaru is freed, but Hikaru refuses. Even though he's reluctant, he can't abandon Alma now. Seeing that Hikaru won't back down, Aki prepares to fight. Hikaru isn't confident that he can win, but Alma encourages him. Together, they can defeat Aki, he just needs to move forward with confidence. Hikaru decides to trust Alma and charges at Aki. Aki, initially ready to defend herself, is caught off guard when Alma leaps into the air and transforms, knocking her to the ground. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Hikaru and Alma flee. Later, once the danger has passed, they emerge from their hiding spot. Meanwhile, Aki returns to base, reporting her failure to capture Alma. She couldn't have predicted that the boy would be able to use Alma's powers, but she knows that Kagami will be after him soon. They need to act quickly. The next day, with no place to leave Alma, Hikaru takes him to school, trying to keep a low profile so they won't be found. However, when he arrives in class, he's shocked to see that Aki has transferred to his class, and she doesn't seem happy about it. That was the end of episode 1. As Hikaru tries to ignore Aki's deadly gaze, something sinister unfolds in the shadows. Two agents, T and Nur, are watching his every move from a nearby building. They work for the Kagami Group and have been tasked with retrieving the trigger arm at any cost, even if it means murder. However, T feels uncomfortable with the idea of killing a child. After class, Hikaru hides in the bathroom, hoping to escape Aki, but he never imagined she would follow him there. This time, though, she doesn't seem interested in a fight. Hikaru suspects she just doesn't want to cause a scene at school, but regardless, if she isn't going to fight, Alma suggests they try talking to Aki. Yesterday was so chaotic that they had no choice but to fight her, but now, thinking back, Aki was trying to be a little friendly at first, even if Hikaru doesn't remember that. Still, there aren't many people Hikaru can talk to about Alma. He can either talk to Aki or go to the police. He asks Alma what to do, but she isn't paying much attention, too busy playing with the toilet paper. On the other hand, Aki hears everything from the next stall and warns that going to the police is a terrible idea. They would hand Hikaru directly to the Kagami Group. Then, Aki climbs into Hikaru's stall, declaring that she's there to be his bodyguard. This makes Hikaru so nervous about her being so close in the boys' bathroom that he bolts out, and Aki chases after him. A few minutes later, Hikaru manages to lose Aki and joins his friends for lunch. However, with Aki's persistent pursuit lately, his friends begin to suspect they might be in a relationship. Hikaru denies it, but it's hard to sound convincing, especially when Aki appears on the rooftop looking for him a second later. The friends call out to Aki, revealing Hikaru's location, but suddenly, Hikaru disappears. He managed to climb up and get out of sight in that brief moment. Alma doesn't understand why he is being so evasive since they had decided to try talking to Aki. At that moment, a classmate of Hikaru's, Miru, arrives on the rooftop, saying she has been looking for him everywhere. She introduces herself to Aki but doesn't seem too pleased with the encounter. Miru attributes Aki's cold stare to her nerves about being new and offers a welcome gift, a tray of cookies. Hikaru imagines Aki will freak out, but surprisingly, Aki seems intrigued by the cookies and grabs a handful, shoving them into her mouth. Miru is a bit shocked by how quickly Aki eats, but is happy her gift was well received, asking if they can be friends. Aki, nonchalantly, says she doesn't mind. She seems much more normal than Hikaru thought, but that doesn't change the fact that he doesn't want to talk to her. So, he puts on noise-canceling headphones and tries to sleep, escaping reality until the end of the day. Meanwhile, Aki continues to eat the cookies, and Miru asks about her relationship with Hikaru. However, Aki has completely forgotten that she should be looking for him. Wanting to help, Miru suggests she has an idea to leave Aki alone with Hikaru. Later, while Hikaru tries to sneak out of school unnoticed, Miru approaches him and hands him a handwritten letter from Aki. Hikaru already suspects what it's about, and as he feared, Aki is trying to ask him out. Miru ends up dragging Hikaru to an abandoned part of the school, not letting him leave, believing Aki wants to confess her love. With no options left, Hikaru enters the room where Aki is waiting and confronts her for involving Miru in this. Aki defends herself, claiming it was Miru's idea, but she followed him all day nonetheless. Now, he wants to know what Aki really wants from him. Aki reveals that she is a member of an organization called ARMS, tasked with taking care of Alma and being her bodyguard. Alma sees this as good news, thinking Aki will protect them, but Aki clarifies that her only job is to protect Alma, not caring about Hikaru. However, since Alma is connected to him, there isn't much Aki can do to separate them. As part of her mission, Aki needs to take both of them to HQ. Of course, she won't harm Hikaru if he cooperates, and Alma thinks that's great. However, Hikaru still feels insecure about going with Aki, as he isn't sure he can trust her. Alma understands Hikaru's concerns, but Aki seems to know something about him, and Alma still wants to find out what and who Hikaru really is. Feeling sorry for Alma, Hikaru decides to agree to go with Aki, even without trusting her, but first he wants to understand why Alma loses power whenever she is away from him. After hearing this, Aki appears perplexed. It shouldn't be possible for a mecha to merge with a jacket, and there's no information on anything like that. Finally, she approaches him and says she needs to take him for some tests, but Hikaru becomes frightened by her aggressiveness and asks Alma if there's anything he can do to escape this. Alma tries to use the power they used against her yesterday, but despite the flash of light, nothing happens. Alma doesn't have enough strength. That leaves only one option, so Hikaru grabs Alma and starts to run, but when he tries to leave through the front door, Miru stops him, saying he should finish talking to Aki before leaving. Meanwhile, outside, T and Nur are watching the entrance of the building. However, since there is a schoolgirl standing outside, they can't do anything without exposing themselves. Inside, Hikaru tries to find an exit, but all the others are blocked. Thus, his only choice seems to be to go up. Meanwhile, Aki is still looking for him, and Deck suggests she go down the right hallway, while Shinies advises the left hallway, but Aki ignores both and decides to go down, breaking through the floor and landing directly on Hikaru. Now, there's nowhere left for Hikaru to run. Aki doesn't understand why he is fleeing when he had the chance to spare her yesterday. Hikaru insists he would never kill anyone, but Aki no longer listens to him. To her, Hikaru must be plotting something and using Alma. Alma tries to defend him, insisting that Hikaru is not a bad person, but Aki still doesn't believe it, and when Alma tries to use her power to protect him, again nothing happens. Aki sees this as proof that Hikaru is not truly connected to Alma and decides to eliminate him for her own safety. At that moment, Miru enters the room, drawn by a loud noise. The position in which Hikaru and Aki find themselves suggests something entirely different to her, and realizing the situation, Miru quickly turns around and leaves, leaving them alone. As soon as she disappears, Aki prepares to resume her mission to eliminate Hikaru, but he has already vanished, hiding once again. Aki sighs and begins her search. Hikaru, who gets up and tries to leave through the front door, is interrupted by Nur, who is wearing one of the Kagami group's uniforms. Instantly, Hikaru goes on high alert. Nur says he needs help, but Hikaru is not inclined to cooperate, especially after the nearly fatal attack from the drones. Nur apologizes, claiming it was a mistake, but confesses that he regrets not being able to finish him off earlier. In a swift move, he strikes Hikaru with a sonic cannon. Although it doesn't cause physical damage, Hikaru falls to his knees, dizzy and disoriented. With Hikaru incapacitated, Nur kicks the door, looking for a clear angle to shoot at Tuss. However, she ends up getting in his way, blocking the shot. When Nur steps back, Alma seizes the chance and drags Hikaru away, preventing him from being hit. But the danger is still imminent, and Hikaru gets up, running back into the building. Tuss yells at Nur for messing up the shot, but determined to end the situation, she begins shooting through the walls, hoping to hit Hikaru. He genuinely worries that she might end up killing him. Alma, on the other hand, has a different concern. Even though Nur is using a mecha, she doesn't sense any consciousness in it. Just then, Nur hits Hikaru with another sonic wave. He collapses at the end of the hallway, and Tuss takes the opportunity to shoot, but at the last second, Aki saves him. Nur launches another sonic wave, and Aki tries to block it. However, just like with Hikaru, she also becomes dizzy and falls. Nur enjoys the situation, relishing in the suffering of others, but Aki refuses to be taken down. Her priority is to protect Alma. She gets up and urges Hikaru to flee while he still can. Reluctant to leave her alone, Hikaru hesitates, but Aki pleads for him to run, insisting that they can't let the Kagami group get their hands on Alma. He finally listens to her request and flees while she keeps Nur occupied. But just when it seems like Aki is gaining the upper hand, Nur pulls out a surprise weapon. Hikaru begins to climb the stairs, frustrated by being constantly chased. However, Alma stops him, insisting that they shouldn't leave Aki alone. He remembers that Aki said they should escape to ensure Alma's safety, but the idea of abandoning Aki does not sit well with Hikaru. So, Alma jumps off his back, punches the wall, and creates an opening for Hikaru to escape. With a burning desire to help Aki, Hikaru agrees to go with Alma since she can't move on her own. But they need a plan before facing Nur and his sonic cannon. Meanwhile, Nur manages to subdue Aki using handcuffs that remove the consciousness of the UD mecha, and now he takes her to the rooftop, where Tusk can shoot her. To everyone's surprise, Tusk comes down personally, irritated that it's taking too long to finish the job. She mocks Aki for being so pathetic, but despite her desire to kill her, Tusk has orders to bring Aki back alive. She tells Nur to go back to the building to look for Hikaru, and he doesn't need to search long. Hikaru is already climbing the stairs. Spotting Nur, Hikaru tries to punch him, but since he's not an experienced boxer, he misses. Although he's not the most skilled fighter, he manages to dodge Nur's attacks. Nur decides to shoot anyway, but Hikaru wasn't bluffing when he said he was immune to the sonic wave. He's wearing noise-canceling headphones. His intention was to buy time for Aki to recover, but when he looks at her, he realizes she has been captured. This throws a wrench in his plans, but he has a better idea and launches Alma toward Aki to free her from the handcuffs. Unfortunately, Alma begins to lose power as soon as she moves too far away from Hikaru, so he needs to run closer. Surprisingly, Tusk, who should be an accurate shooter, misses an easy shot. However, Hikaru and Alma manage to free Aki. As soon as Aki regains mobility, she grabs Tusk and uses her as a human shield, advancing against Nur. Nur hesitates to use his attack against Aki, but she orders him to shoot in the name of the mission. He complies, but instead of hitting Aki, he takes out Tusk. Aki then seizes the opportunity and knocks out Nur. With the building damaged from the fight, it is about to collapse. Before that can happen, Tusk regains consciousness and flies away, leaving Nur to be buried under the rubble along with the others. Aki and Hikaru emerge unscathed, but soon Aki's boss from ARMS appears, clearly dissatisfied with the destruction she caused during the mission. They take her back to headquarters, and when Hikaru finally wakes up, he is introduced to the leader of the ARMS group, Algiz, and his mecha, Fist. Algiz explains that they fight against the Kagami group, which seeks to claim all mechas and control them as slaves. Alma, without remembering anything about them, discovers that Fist is her brother and that they need her help to win this war. Without hesitation, Alma offers to help and convinces Hikaru to do the same. However, Aki and Algiz clarify that they actually only need Alma for this, and Hikaru does not need to be present. And so, episode 2 ends. Subscribe so you don't miss the next part.